Go.
Welcome to the Lucky and Ducky podcast.
Where the jokes are funny, the stories are true, and if you don't like that, we're sorry for you.
Alrighty. Um, in today's
More,
podcast, what?
that gets more entertaining every time.
Yeah. Um, for today's podcast, we're going to talk about to plan your life before you're ready for it. First thing on the list we have here is school. You have anything to say about that, Ducky?
I mean, I have a lot to say about school, but related to what we're talking about, slightly less. I mean, I can jump in and do that first, or you can.
Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, so pretty much planning your life before you're ready for it in general is that you usually have a map or you use your GPS or something. You have a destination before you're going somewhere, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Like you don't just walk in a direction and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm going somewhere." I
I'm
mean,
going
sometimes
some
you do that because
like Forrest Gump, where he
not all
just
who wander,
started running.
not all who wander are lost. I understand that, but usually you you don't want to waste time and wander around. So you want to get to your destination. So that's why you plan before you're there. You can't just say, "Oh, I'm driving and now my gas tank's empty. I guess I can't go to the mall." But you didn't know you were going to the mall until you are stopped. So you have to plan before you go somewhere. Otherwise, you have no trajectory. You don't have any direction.
Yeah.
You, I hear.
What'd you say?
I said, do you agree with all that so far?
Yeah, I agree.
And
I d-
add to that general.
yep. Finding our terms, never bad. Um, okay, so then in taking that, in planning your life, and which trajectory do you want to go to? One thing to think about is school. Um, what schooling do you need to take? Do you need to have to accomplish your end goal?
Which also includes not just what schooling do you need, but not just what level of school, but like what school do you need to go to, and like if it's college, how do you pay for that? Whether it's Hope Scholarship, dual enrollment while you're still in high school, or other scholarships, there's lots of options, and a lot of people overlook smaller scholarships that only pay for maybe it's enough money to pay for like two classes, but at the same time, it's paying for two classes that's not out of your pocket. So in reality, the colleges don't really care who's paying it, whether it's a government fund or something, or you're paying out of your pocket or whatever. They're getting paid either way. So why would you waste your money on that? Or not necessarily wasting because you're still supposedly getting education from it. But why would you spend and use your money that way when you could be doing other things with it?
Yeah.
So I would say definitely don't overlook scholarships for people. Also, for people who want to go into the military, you don't need to go to college and then do military if they'll pay for it while you're in.
Yeah.
Even not active duty, you could be like guard of some kind, whether air, national guard, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of things people overlook, and I would say definitely if you're doing college or even technical college, do not go into student loan debt because most people do not ever pay theirs off. Or not most people, a lot of people do not ever pay their student loans off, and then their families, after they die, still are having to cover that. And I don't know of anyone who's like, oh yeah, I just want everyone to pay my bills for me for the rest of my life and when I'm dead.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to be said there. Um, you need to you need to definitely have that into consideration when picking a school because if you need to be reasonable in a sense where have big dreams, but at the same time keep them reasonable.
Yes, because your dream is only going to go as far as you'll take it because like with some certain schools like say MIT, Harvard, those kinds of things, they're known for certain things. Like these people are really great engineers, they're really great lawyers or whatever because the school has that reputation. But just because the students went there doesn't mean the students have the same reputation. You still have to have that character yourself
Well, yeah, and obviously someone that's going to be
by your
um
name.
someone that wants to be a plumber versus someone that wants to be a mathematician, they're not going to go
math,
to the same
math,
school.
I like that, math magician.
It's from that book, the Phantom Tollbooth Math Magician. It's
I never read that one.
it's a funny one. Yeah, I definitely recommend. You have to come at it from the right angle though. It's very witty. Um, Speaking of schooling, I read that in school. Um, all right. And one more thing to talk about school is schooling um is not just college. There's a lot to be said about high school, doing school in high school, working up to start your career. But if you don't have good enough test scores, that affects which college you get into. If it affects what college you get into, then that affects what job you can have. Um,
And it especially affects depending on what you want to do, or even if you don't want to go to college. In the military, you still have to take the ASVAB. And if you want to be a guy who's shooting mortars or something, or you want to be a pilot, you have to score a lot higher on that. And yes, it's not only you do this algebra or trig problem in math, it's also a lot of mechanical things you have to understand. If you don't keep your grades good and study in high school like you care about it, you're not going to be good at doing it for other things you want. You have to have a certain level of understanding in most concepts in high school. Even if you don't know what algebra 2 is going to do for you, you have to understand the concept of it. You may not understand every problem, but you understand the general idea so that you are able to do that.
yeah. One thing that my mom always tells me is that right now and where I am, school is my number one full-time job. Um, I might have other jobs and I might go work for other people, but where I am right now, school is my full-time job, and I have to treat it as such.
Yeah, no matter how much you don't like it.
Yeah.
But also to expand schooling out into education in general, like you said, being a plumber, there you don't necessarily have to go to school for that. You could also work with a company who could train you on the job or put you through their own school. Like there's JCB where they have lots of welders who are building their big excavators, bulldozers, all those things. They can pay you on the job for that kind of thing. Or if you're a plumber, you could be an apprentice. So there's different ways that you don't necessarily have to go to school and school is your only job of doing that. Your job could train you in the school. Or there's also a guy I knew who worked at Gulfstream, and Gulfstream paid for him to go to college after he had worked there for 2 years or something like that. I don't know exactly how the process worked, but like because he worked there and was getting an engineering degree and was going to continue working at Gulfstream, they were paying for it. They were paying for his school.
Yeah.
So it depends on what you want to do, but there are a lot of options. And the big thing, search, don't just do what everyone is saying you should do. Be like, oh, yeah, you need a college degree. And now people are like, oh, yeah, everyone has a college degree, doesn't actually say anything about you. And even, what was it, the 80s? I think it was really when it started that everyone was like, yeah, you have to have a college degree to do anything. Before that, it was like, oh, yeah, you just need to go to work. You don't need to go to school
Yeah.
unless you're a lawyer or a politician. So
Yeah.
it changes like each generation. It's a little bit different. So it's more about what your character says about you than even, I mean, your resume is going to say something, but what school you went to is not going to say as much as you just being the guy who shows up and gets work done.
Yeah. Um, all right, do you have anything else to say about school? Otherwise, we can continue down the list.
Pretty sure that's it for
I mean,
school.
we probably missed something, but yeah, that covers a lot. All right, the next on the list is vocation. What do you want as a um as a plan for your life? What do you want to do with your life? Do you want to become a plumber? Do you want to become a politician? Do you want to be a doctor? Um, there's a lot that goes into that. Honestly, well, for me, what I would say, me and my dad always joke around. We say, we want to have as much fun at work as we do on vacation. Um, and I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. Basically, if I'm not having fun at work, that's not what I want to be doing. So pick something that you can make money on, that you can do every day, day in and day out. Um, that is fun for you.
One of my cousins who was about, I think he was about 50 something at the time. I don't remember. I've got a lot of cousins, so like remembering who's who and keeping track of all their ages is not easy. So he said, find what you love to do and then find someone who will pay you to do it.
Yeah.
So to tie this back in with school is there's, I think, what is it? Probably 30% of college students stick with their original major when they go through and don't change it or drop out.
Yeah.
I don't like quote me on that statistic because it's probably not right, but I'm pretty sure it was about 30% when I read it somewhere. So, I mean, I'll probably look that up if we go into this more depth later on.
Yeah.
But find what you love to do and then figure out a way to make that your job. Like, what does it take to do that? So, that also means try lots of different things. You don't know if you'll like using a nail gun or impact driver and drills and framing a house unless you try using a nail gun and sticking some boards together, even if you're just building a doghouse in your backyard. You may decide you hate doing that and you would rather be somebody who does paperwork in an office. That's not for me because that's not what I like doing. But if that's what you like having everything organized in a certain order, neat, and you like focusing on all the little details of how something is worded in maybe a legal document that people are signing, then that's what you're about. That's what you want to do. So find what those things are and what you like to do, before you just go, oh yeah, I'm gonna go be a doctor or be a veterinarian. Because if you don't know that you like doing it, it's gonna be a lot harder to do it also. So that's part of why you need to plan before you get in there. Otherwise, you're just wasting time. And time is like money, because we say time is money, not because you make money with your time, which you do, but you also spend it. And time you can't get back, where money you can. You just have to work for it.
Yeah. All right. Um,
So you
I
want to go
think that
into
that's yeah, I think that's pretty much covered. I mean, very closely. The next thing on the list is very similar to this. Um, it's career. So basically, you take your vocation, you take what you want to do, and you do what you need to do to turn it into a career.
yes, it's find what your calling is.
Yeah, yeah. So if you're really good at and you really enjoy building things, you might want to consider construction. Um, as you said, if you're really like order and you really like doing things, you can um where was I going with that?
Paper, order, office.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so basically, take take what you want and try to make a career out of it. Like like your cousin said, um, the find what you love and get somebody to pay for it.
Yeah, finding what you love. That's what you're. There's a little bit of difference of like what you love to do. I mean, there's guys who like to play video games, but that's not the same as your calling.
Yeah,
Because lots of things I like to do that are fun, but I don't think I could make money by reading books or like riding my bike or just I don't know,
playing airsoft.
hunting, hunting.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah. Hunting
I
takes money.
guys that offends anybody listening to this, but I mean, I'm sorry that you're offended by it, but it is what it is. That's what I like to do.
Yeah, yeah. We live in a free country. Um, all right. Um, next thing. All right. It says that the meeting will end in 10 minutes, so we need to step this up maybe. Next thing on the list is who you need to get there. Um, I
That ties
mean,
in with what I was going to
go.
say about. You go ahead first.
I mean, going back to that schooling. We talked about um like apprenticeships. So if you want to be a
You
car mechanic, go
there.
work for a car mechanic. Um, you were gonna say something, Doug?
Also, I was saying that you were glitching out a little bit. So to sum up what you said is like, if you want to go do that job, find somebody in that job, talk to them, see what they like about it, and go work with them for a little while if you can.
Yeah,
Um, right.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but also um, not just people in the field that you're interested in, just talk to people in general, because you might not, maybe you want to be a pilot, but you don't want to go fly for Delta and have passengers and carry them all over the place going through airports. Maybe you want to be a helicopter pilot that helps the linemen who work on the big power lines. That guy is in a helicopter. He flies up there carrying the guys who just hang on the power line, and he carries their tools up. It has to all be by helicopter. So every time he comes down, hooks something, goes back up.
yeah,
It's really cool to watch. I've got to watch it a couple times.
yeah,
But not just talk to people in general, find out different fields that are interesting. Um, and just especially people who are passionate about that, not just the ones that show up. You're like, oh yeah, this is my job. Not you want to talk to the guy who's like, oh yeah, this is what I get to do every day. This is fun. Um, which there's hopefully someone like that at every job that's just is happy to be there. Because I mean, even if you don't love what you're doing and it's maybe in between job, there's
Well,
people
I mean,
who even in fast food, they don't want to
yeah.
work there. Yeah, I'll let you get your point. But like in fast food, those people, they're not always happy to see, right? But there's usually you go to certain restaurants, right, and you notice the people who do look happy to be there and show up, even if it's just because they're showing up and getting paycheck. They may not always like to work with their coworkers. They may not always like that they had to wake up early or anything like that. But there's things to be grateful for because you have a job
Yeah.
and you're getting money from it. You're getting a paycheck.
Yeah, well,
So,
I mean, like what I was gonna say off of that fast food thing. I the McDonald's down the road from my old house, there was a worker, we called him Mr. McTastic. And every time he worked the window, every time we'd show up, he would greet us with as we were driving away with have a McTastic day. And that man, I don't know if he liked his job, but every single time I saw him, he was always happy. And he was working at McDonald's. Um,
you take two people working at the same job, they could be doing the exact same thing, not just like one working at a counter, one's working in the kitchen, but in the same exact job, they're doing the same thing. And you could have one who's hating it and one who's loving it.
yeah,
It's all in how you think about it. And if you don't like doing something, don't make that career because it's not your calling. You're not going to love doing it and you're not going to do as well of a job. I would not make a good mathematician working at NASA, partially because it's not that I'm not good at math. Anyone can be good at math and work on it. It's just that's not what I like to do. There's people who are really passionate about math. They like doing that. I'm not, I think people should learn the math to understand it, to be able to do it. Yes, as much as I don't care for it, I still think that it's important, but it's not what I'm called to do. But if it's working with my hands, I could be a lot better with that than writing out a math problem on a board or a piece of paper. Like you tell me to go build such
all
and
right.
such, I can go do that.
It says we
So,
got 5 minutes left. Um, we kind of already covered this, but the next thing on the list, what do you need to get there or financials? Um,
um, I would say the part we haven't covered, we did talk about like paying for school, apprentice, and if you're working in the job you're interested in before you get there, even if you're 15, 16, if, if you want to go work in that job, find a like entry level thing. Maybe you have to be 18 to do some of those jobs, especially in certain trades. But if you can get involved with it early and getting paid to do it, then you're also stacking up that money.
yeah,
And there's a good way that I've heard it put. It's probably the simplest way of making sure you save money and plan it is that if you want to buy something, make sure you have twice as much money as that thing costs in the bank. Does that
yeah,
make sense?
yeah.
So, like if something costs $100, you make sure you have $200 in the bank
That
after you buy
that's
that thing.
yeah, that's a minimum. Yeah,
That is the simplest way of organizing finances that I think I've heard. There's a lot more in detail and in depth, like percentages of how much you save to pay for insurance, cars, different things, housing. There's lots of ways to break that down. I'm pretty sure we'll go into that one day, but that's the simplest thing to do, especially while you're in high school still or just starting out. Because I mean, I'm built to be a saver, but my younger brother, especially when he was younger, whenever he saw something that was cool, he wanted to buy it. He's gotten better, but
Yeah, that's
instead of just money. Think about how much you have and how much you need, and also think about. Um, I'm sure you've heard this. I can't remember exact number, but it's like however much it cost. Think about like if it costs $20, think about it for 20 hours
yeah.
before you. So there's certain times you look at something and it's like, oh, it's on sale today, and it won't be on sale tomorrow. There's situations like that. That's a little different, but think about it like that because there's that new shininess of things that you have to wait for it to wear off and see if it's still going to be something useful and helpful, especially if you're trying to save money.
Yeah.
So,
All right, we've got
those
2 minutes.
all right. You want to wrap it up?
All right. Sure. All right, so basically a quick recap. For schooling, I mean, once again, go back, find what you want to do, and then get the appropriate education for that. Um, find who you need, build a community, um, do what you want to do that is realistic and you can make a profit and a living off of. Um, I mean, I'm that's a pretty good recap.
I would
Um,
say so. And money wise is just have a plan for your money. Don't
yeah,
just how much money do you have? Oh, I don't know. Is if you plan your money and monitor it, then it will grow because you're going to go, I don't have a lot of money. I need to make it grow. If you
right.
know a lot of money, but if you don't know, it's not going to do anything. So it's have a plan,
Yeah,
especially before you have a plan for the paycheck before you get it. It's a lot better than, oh, I've got $200 this
that's
month.
30 seconds.
Yeah. It's
All
like,
right,
I've got my, what am I going to do with it instead of I'm going to do this with it before I get it.
yeah,
All right. That's all I've got.
cool. Well then, I will say that's good. We'll see you next time.